Hi people! In this video, I want to talk about the characteristics of intimacy anorexia and the sexless marriage. Well, the thing is, we're not talking about sex as God's idea in our churches or during our premarital counseling. So how are we going to talk about it when it's all going downhill? But that is coming up right now on Be Intentional with Chesca.
Be intentional about everything in life.
Look at your spouse. What made you fall in love with them in the first place? So why would you deny them of a hug, of a kiss, if you know that that single act would give their heart a relief and assure them that despite your inability to pleasure them sexually on a frequent basis, you still love them, you still cherish what you've got. Intimacy anorexia, according to Dr. Doug Wise, who coined the term, is the active withholding of spiritual, physical, and sexual intimacy from your spouse. Now, this is a real syndrome in a relationship in which a person pushes away intimacy and creates distance on a regular basis. Now, this is what happens. Usually, the person suffering from this kind of syndrome, it's married to themselves, married to the problem, and you are married to them. Whew, that's a tiring one. But you will be surprised how many of sexless marriages are going on, especially in our churches. And people just don't know where to take these issues when they are going on in their marriages. And come on, yo, the sexless marriage is no picnic at all. No sex for months. Well, to start with, no sex for days, no sex for months, then years. Then what? Not at all. This is growing by leaps and by bounds, and we need to nip it in the bud. Well, let's get this straight. I'm not talking about people who have peculiar problems and medical reasons or medical issues and unable to enjoy sex for health reasons, for some form of trauma they have gone through, like sexual abuse. I'm not talking about them because talk of people who have been abused sexually. Generally, people who have gone through that, usually they love their spouse. They love their spouse very much. But sometimes they just find it hard to separate their memories of what happened to them and the beautiful gift of intimacy that God has given us in our marriages. And let's get this straight. The emphasis is not about lack of sex. It is about the act of being made to feel unattractive, the act of being made to feel unwanted and undesirable. It is how you present it, how you present your no, how you present your don't touch me, how you present the I don't want to be intimate with you. That is what we are talking about. It's not just about sex, but how you go about it on a constant and on a frequent basis, making that person feel unwanted, unloved, and rejected. That is intimacy anorexia. So, let's talk about the characteristics of the intimacy anorexia and sexless marriage. Now, what happens is, people suffering from intimacy anorexia, the first thing they do is they create a place of safety. They create a place of safety for themselves at the expense of you, the spouse, and they don't care. Whatever it takes to create that space for their own safety, that they would do. Because distance is their friend, yet there isn't a way they're going to give you a way out. They don't cheat, and they won't divorce you. Now, they don't cheat because they won't be seen with anyone, just as much as they won't be seen with, they don't want to get intimate with you, the spouse. They won't get intimate with anybody. So you're not likely to find them cheating. And guess what? They don't want to divorce. They won't divorce you, and they won't give you the chance to pursue anybody else. You are being starved, and it is intentional. It is intentional because the strategy is to get a certain amount of distance between you and them, between you, the spouse, and the person who is suffering from intimacy anorexia. So if you're going too close to them, then they would literally sabotage everything, sabotage every situation, just to ensure that the distance is maintained. Because remember, distance is their friend. And they are usually out sweet outside. They will be nice with everybody. They can hug everybody. They will say hello to everyone. They will be so warm to everybody, but not you. Now, another characteristics of the intimacy anorexic is that they stay busy. They can really get busy. They stay so busy that they have little time for you. They have time for everything but not you. They clean the house top to bottom. They cook for you. And you know what is interesting about this? The thing is, to the intimacy anorexic person, cleaning the house means I love you. Cooking for you means I love you. Sorting our kids out, doing everything in the house, everything means I love you. Taking care of our homes, taking care of our kids means I love you. Anything but intimacy is what they define as love. So you might not be able to get this changed overnight. And sometimes it's like you're wondering, it's hard to even talk about it because they come across as the perfect people in the marriage. I mean, if it's a lady, she does everything. She cooks. She serves you, literally. She does everything but getting intimate with you. And how do you talk about such a thing? How do you tell somebody, I feel my wife neglects me or doesn't love me enough because we're not getting intimate? And if it's a man, what do you need? A car? He'll buy it for you, buy you a house, get you everything that you need to make you comfortable, but would not get intimate with you. So that is what they can do. They can stay very busy. Now they control you with anger and silence. They control you with anger and silence so much that it is hard to bring issues up because you are being given the cold shoulder. You're being given the silent treatment. And because they are experts at pushing you away, this is what they do just to push you away. Now I'm not on talking terms with you. I'm giving you the cold shoulder. How on earth are you going to bring up this issue up for us to talk about? There is nothing to talk about. The other thing they do is they withhold love. They withhold love, but not only do they withhold love, they withhold love specifically in the way you, the spouse, would want to receive love. So this is how it goes. If you're a spouse who likes to be praised, they will do everything but not praise you in any way. If it's touch, they would do everything but not touch you. And they would do all these things. They wouldn't hug you if you're somebody who loves hug. And you know what is amazing? The thing is, they actually know your love language. They know the love language of that spouse or you, the spouse, 100%. But they choose not to love you that way. And the only time you might find them releasing that love is when they are in trouble. They need money for something. They need to talk to you about something that matters to them. Then they would release a little of that love in the way you want it. If it's a hug, they would go ahead and hug you that day. If it's to praise you, they would do that. Whatever it takes, they will do just because they are in trouble. But after that, it's done. It's a done deal. And that's what it is. It sounds insane, right? It really sounds insane, but guess what? It makes perfect sense to the intimate anorexics. It makes perfect sense to them because for them to love you the way you want may just remind them of previous abuse or may hurt them, or it actually means they're going to lose control of themselves and they don't want to do that. That is what they don't want to do. So simply put, what it is they withhold love, especially in the way you desire to be loved. Now, this is the biggest thing. As these things progress, then it gets to withholding intimacy or sex. And this time, it might have gone a little further without you even noticing what is happening. And what they do is, sex is not happening one day, and it's not happening 2 days, and it's not happening. And then it goes on and on and on, and then that's it. It's not happening at all. Now, if they should ever have sex with you or get intimate with you, the other thing is they disconnect during the act. Get on, get up. That's all there is to it. They don't put themselves in. They hold back. That is one characteristic of the intimate anorexic person. Now, the other characteristics you find is they withhold spirituality. This can happen if the person it could even happen if the person is a pastor in a church or a church leader in the community. They could even be any spiritual leader in the community. And what they do is they withhold spirituality. They avoid praying with you. They avoid anything spiritual with you because they know deep down in their hearts that marriage has to do with both of you and God in the center. Now, I'm not going to pray with you for you to bring up the issues we have between us. So we bring it to God, and I have to let down my guards or talk about it. That is not going to happen. So they withhold every form of spirituality just so they can protect themselves from their own guilt. And they don't connect. They just don't connect. They don't open their heart out to you. They don't open their heart out to you spiritually as well. They are just unable to share their feelings. I mean, basically, that's what it is. They cannot share their feelings with you. They can share it with everybody, but not you. So the best they can do is just go silent and go the different way. And you can hear from from all I've been saying that they get silent. Now the silent treatment is just to maintain the distance so that there is less intimacy in the relationship and pushes you away so that you have to beg to be loved. And as they refuse to share their sentiments, their feelings with you, they will share it with everybody else out there, but not you. They will tell you conversations about their day in terms of other people, in the context of other people fitting in. What happened at work with this person? What happened? But nothing about themselves. They would not want to discuss the highlights of their day or the lowlights of their day, lest you get too sentimental, emotional, and get attached to them or come close. Because remember, the goal is to keep a distance between you. Another common thing about the intimate anorexics is that they criticize a lot. They blame you for the problems in the relationship on a regular basis, and they have difficulty in seeing any part they have played in that criticism. It's ongoing, it's unfounded. Sometimes they have to make these things up, and they criticize you about everything, and they are rarely sorry or rarely wrong. They simply cannot see any part of themselves that contributed to what is going on in the marriage. So what they literally do is they push your buttons, and they watch you get hurt. They watch you get hurt so you stay away, and that becomes your problem. You become responsible for the distance. You see, as they push your buttons, you might get fed up at some point in time, and then you decide to stay away. You decide to stay in your own space, and then you become responsible for that distance that they created. Typical example is, I am starving you of sex and rejecting you to the extent that you get frustrated, and possibly you eat so much that you gain weight, so that I can blame the weight gain as the reason why I don't find you attractive. So that's what they do. I'm going to starve you. I'm going to make you feel rejected. And then you would eat and feed yourself and feed yourself and feed yourself, and you gain weight. Now when it comes to talking about me not being intimate with you in any way or showing affection, the excuse I can give is, I don't find you attractive because you keep putting on weight. But that is not the reason.